you going to Iceland? Do you know what to take? In this video, I'm going to share what I packed and why to get you a little bit more prepared for your trip. From learning to traveling adventures, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified when I upload a video every Wednesday. Hey friends! I went to Iceland about a month ago and I'm just now getting around to editing some of the footage, which is super cool. It's like experiencing it all over again, plus I get to share it with you. Everyone wins. So I'm breaking up this video by what I packed but didn't need, what I forgot, and then just some general recommendations. I tend to travel carry-on only, which may or may not be your cup of tea, but I did go with this 30-liter packed bag as a carry-on item and then this smaller 20-liter day bag as a personal item to take on the plane. First up is what I packed. And let's just note that I went from mid-October to late October when every single day that I was there, the days were getting shorter, which means less sun. Most of the things that I packed can be found in the last video that I did about packing, but that was to Portland and this is to Iceland. So the real difference is going to be in clothes to account for the weather. So let's talk about that. I plan to either be scuba diving, hiking, or driving to my next hostel or Airbnb every single day, so comfortable clothes and footwear was a must. I got these shoes at REI only a week before my flight and tried to break them in as much as possible by wearing them around the neighborhood. I know that ideally breaking these boots in would consist of going on an actual hike, on an actual trail, but I didn't make enough time for this. And as it turned out, walking around the neighborhood for a week seemed to be just enough. Not only did Leo enjoy it, but I didn't get any blisters in Iceland. However, I do always make sure to pack moleskin just in case because I have needed it before on previous hiking trips, like even the one to Santa Fe not too long ago. I've had this jacket for a few years now and got it right before Austin and I went to Rocky Mountains National Park because I knew it would be snowing in Colorado. And although there's only so much research one can do on the weather and I didn't know if it would be snowing, I knew that it would be warm enough, especially with all of the other layers. I packed 3 changes of clothes and wore 1, so that's a total of 4 changes of clothes. I wore just the first layer to the Austin airport, packing the rest of the layers of the first day of clothes in easy to reach pockets, thinking that I would be just slowly adding layers on the way. It turned out I didn't do that. I just changed at the Reykjavik airport and the bathrooms were so nice. You have to take an elevator or the stairs in the Reykjavik airport to get to the bathrooms, but they weren't stalls. They were entire rooms. I guess they knew that people arriving would want to change clothes. In Reykjavik, it's not a problem to wash clothes. You go to this place called the Laundromat Cafe, you have breakfast, and they have washer and dryers downstairs, which you can pay for when you also pay for your breakfast or food or whatever. Or you could just go and do your laundry. You don't have to eat there. In Vik, I had a bit more trouble washing my clothes. I asked the host of the Airbnb that I was staying at where I could wash my clothes, and they were like,
I don't know where you can wash your clothes here.
They let me use their parents' washer and dryer, and everything was great because I had clean clothes. I was super thankful. Definitely check ahead if you're staying outside of Reykjavik to find out where you can do your laundry. For each of the 4 changes of clothes, I had long socks, underclothes, a camisole, a base layer, leggings, and pants. Because I was only traveling with 2 bags and each of the changes of clothes consisted of so many layers, I literally couldn't fit any more in my bags. Also, another thing that I want to mention is that I do have a set packing list that I'll share down below. On it are a swimsuit and towel, along with a lot of other things. But the swimsuit I would highly recommend, and you wouldn't think to bring that to Iceland maybe necessarily unless you had heard of the thermal pools. Oh my god, it's cold. Oh my god, run. The other thing is the towels. You can rent towels. I was in a lot of hostels and the towel that I brought was really amazing. I would take a shower at night and then hang it on the bunk bed. I know how that sounds. I would hang it on the bunk bed and it would be dry the next morning, and if I was going to my next location, then rolling it up and putting it back in my bag wasn't a big deal. Just a little bit more detail about the things that I did bring. I did not have special socks, although wool socks were recommended. I didn't have special thermal leggings, though probably if you did, you might be able to get away with just leggings and not the additional pants layer that I decided on. At first, the camisole under the base layer was just so that the wool from the base layer wouldn't be so itchy to me, but actually I appreciated just having another layer. The base layer that I got from REI is the Smart Wool Merino 250 base layer, and it's considered mid-weight. So what I did get helped keep me warm, if not hot at times.
It's so hot. Have you mentioned how hot it is?
All the pants that I chose were pretty standard hiking pants, but more on that later because I do have opinions. Next up is what I packed but didn't end up needing. Why, oh why, did I think that I needed all of these shoes? I only packed 3 pair, but that was 1 pair too many, turns out. Maybe 2 pair too many. I hardly used my sandals as it was. I originally thought I would be using them more at thermal pools or in the showers, but they were a bit unnecessary, at least in my experience. This other pair I thought I would be using more for walking around town. I was really glad to have my hiking boots and all of my layers because in the city it's cold too, not just up on a mountain somewhere. One night after the food tour in Reykjavik, I was very glad to be wearing my hiking boots because they're at least a little bit waterproof, and it was pouring buckets. Not only that, but the wind was blowing all of the rain into my face so much and so hard that I decided to turn around and walk backwards back to my hostel. I kind of felt a little bit ridiculous walking backwards, not gonna lie, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I'm probably never going to see these people again. And probably if they were outside, they'd be like,
Oh, there's this girl walking backwards. What a great idea. I'm gonna do it too.
I also mentioned packing my moleskin earlier, but there was absolutely no way that I was going to use as much as I packed. Leaving a pair or 2 pairs of shoes plus heaps of moleskin, that's like 3 or 4 bags of candy that I could have brought back. Lastly, what did I forget? Really, not that much. As I mentioned previously, I do have a pretty extensive packing list that I use every single time that I travel. However, I will need to add the following things onto it. USB-C cords, or rather, more USB-C cords. I was traveling with more electronics this time, and some of them used to take micro USB, whereas now the majority take USB-C. I could have bought different cords and cables at some of the gas stations, but I didn't bother because I didn't need it. On my checklist, it says hat, and usually that means a baseball hat. But I know that if I'm going to a colder environment, that means to bring a warm hat. But I didn't have one. So I packed my baseball hat anyway, used it for half a day, realized that it wasn't enough, and then bought a warm hat there anyway. They've got 2 chain stores that were recommended, 66 Degrees North and Icewear. So I stopped over at Icewear to pick up a warm hat and matching mittens because at the time I thought that my gloves that I brought from Texas weren't going to be warm enough, but it turns out they were warm enough. However, I regret nothing. Those matching mittens are so dang cute. The last thing has to do with waterproofing. There's this waterproofing spray that could be used on your gear, but I thought, no, I'd be fine. In retrospect, I could have used that waterproofing layer. It's not like 100%, but it would have helped on my jacket or on my bag, or better yet, have a rain cover for my day bag. Welcome to the recommendation section of this video. Really, there's only 2 things I'd like to recommend, and the first is this plug adapter. It is pink, first of all. Have you noticed? It's really cute. Also, it has 4 USB plugs, 1 USB-C, and 1 AC/DC. That's potentially 6 items that can be plugged in at the same time. I think I only ever needed 4, but still, that's super helpful. I have so many leggings and only 2 pairs of hiking pants, so before the trip I bought 2 more, and let me just say that these are not pants. These are pants. So just make sure when you buy a pair of hiking pants to check the pocket size if you like to keep your phone as handy as I like to keep mine. And I know that I could have put my phone in my jacket pocket or in my back pocket of the pants, but I wasn't always wearing the jacket or the pants. Let me know your opinion about pockets in the comments below, and let me know if you're going to Iceland, and also send me your pictures if you're going to Iceland. Send me them, please. Thank you. Hopefully now you're a little bit more prepared to pack for your trip to Iceland. I've also got a couple of more videos lined up about my Icelandic experience and adventures, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. Make sure to smash the like button, don't forget to subscribe. And if you do have a trip to Iceland coming up, I hope you have the best time ever. Safe travels, and I'll see you next week. Bye. I'm so hot. You're making me nervous. Why does my voice sound like that? Could I be wearing any more clothes? Wrap it up.